Madam President, I rise to speak on the two pending votes before the Senate. I want to follow first my distinguished colleague from New York and the presiding officer who has made this one of her passions, picked it up when I first introduced the James Zadroga Act and then took it when she came to the Senate and has done a magnificent job and brought us to this moment. James Zadroga is a New Jerseyan who spent 450 hours at the World Trade Center site, a New York City police officer who simply had a paper mask on as his only protection. He and so many others who answered on that fateful day did not question their personal security, did not give it a second thought, did not think about their health, did not think about the consequences that would flow, the potential consequences that would flow from the exposure they were having. They thought only about responding, saving lives, and meeting the nation's need. The nation's need, not New York's need, the nation's need. And for Jim Zadroga and so many others, the consequence of that selflessness has been enormous. In many cases, they have died. In other cases, they have serious life-threatening illnesses. In other cases, they have real disabilities as a result of those illnesses. Now, I remember on that day, after the attacks on September 11th, how we came together on the Capitol steps, how we declared our commitment of purpose, love of country, and commitment to those who died on that fateful day, to their family, and to those who responded. I remember the incredible words, glowing, soaring, that were spoken about the bravery of those men and women who responded from all over the country. And those who are the victims of the exposure that they received on the grounds of September 11th come from every state in the Union. This is not simply a New York issue or a New Jersey issue where so many of our first responders came to. These are individuals who came from across the country to come together as Americans to respond on that fateful day. This requires each and every one of us in the Senate to respond to all of those Americans from every state who ultimately find themselves, through their selflessness, exposed to life-threatening illnesses. A grateful nation not only joins together in commemoration on September the 11th of each year, a grateful nation shows its gratitude to those who answered the call without concern for their well-being by how we take care of their health care, how we take care of their disabilities, and how we take care of the families of those who ultimately lost their lives in service to the country. This is no different than the men and women who wear the uniform of the United States and go abroad to defend the nation. These men and women wore uniforms too. Some of them wore the uniform of a police officer. Some of them wore the uniform of a firefighter. Some of them wore the uniform of an emergency management personnel. Some of them were ultimately first aid squads. But all of them on those fateful days wore a uniform that served the nation. How can the nation forget them now? That's what this vote is all about. Now, I cannot accept as a moral equivalent that some oath not to vote on those who serve the country, risk their lives, cannot take place because of some vote on some tax issue. No one in the nation would believe that it is okay to say, well, I will not vote to give relief to the health of those individuals who sacrificed their health on September 11th and the days after because I have to wait for some pending tax vote. Go back to the men and women who serve this country and look at them in their eyes and tell them that it is some vote that I'm waiting for on taxes that determines whether or not your health will be responded to. Shameless. I can't wait to see when one of us stands in one of those pictures on commemoration of September 11th and then makes comments about how heroic those individuals were, but cannot cast a simple vote. A simple vote.